let's talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender for a bit. Avatar: The Last Airbender first premiered on Nickelodeon in February 2005. It was inspired by the works of Hayao Miyazaki, the anime studio Gainax, particularly the character design and animations of Fooly Cooly, and Hong Kong action movies. It's the type of show that draws inspiration from a variety of different places to create something new and fresh yet familiar. It has a diverse group of characters, each with their own distinct personalities, humor, and motivations. It's a show that was created through a great passion for the art form, handled with a lot of care and great attention to detail. And then there's this, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the video game. How well does it stack up to the TV show from which it was born? Does it maintain the same level of quality? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. It's actually a bit of a dumpster fire. And you may be thinking to yourself, there's no way as promising of an idea as an Avatar: The Last Airbender video game can be anything less than passable. And all I have to say to that is, there's a certain movie back in 2010 that I thought something very similar about. And it's just something you have to see to believe. So with that being said, let's take a look at the game. So I'll be playing the Wii version of the game, which, as an interesting side note, was actually a launch title for the Wii in the US in November 2006, while the other versions of the game were released a month prior in October. Now, how this relates to the release of the show is that the show was well into its second season when the game came out. The finale for season 2 was on December 1st, 2006. Alright, let's put the sucker in and get the game started. Well, I hope I won't have to hear that again.
Water.
Alright, the Avatar intro. Iconic. I'm not even wearing a watch. Oh, no, gross. That's not Avatar music. Couldn't they have used, like, anything from the TV show? Yeah, whatever, let's just get started already.
It seems an eternity ago that Sokka and I left our homes in the South Pole to help Aang with his Avatar training. The long journey since then has led us to the North Pole. Although Sokka and I sometimes dream of reuniting with our father, we realize the importance of Aang completing his waterbending training here, even if, at times, it seems he doesn't.
Oh, wow. Nice waterbending, guys.
Hey, Appa! Katara said she would go penguin sledding with me before training today. See you later, boy!
Alright, well, let's go penguin sledding with Katara and beat up on some wolves on the way.
Hello.
Oh, neat. You can talk to people. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Hello there.
Aang, how was your meditation? Good, thanks. Ah, good to hear. Hey, you should head down to the village. I heard Katara was looking for you earlier. Which village? The training camp just north of here. Follow this path. You can't miss it. You mean the only path I can possibly take other than the way I came? Okay, thanks. What about this guy?
Hello there.
Aang, beautiful morning, isn't it? Who are you? Who am I? Don't tell me you've forgotten old Gin Lee. He dragged me out penguin sledding just last week. Did I win? Okay. First of all, since when does Aang have such a crappy memory? First he forgets this guy went penguin sledding with him, and then he forgets if he won or not. Second, who refers to themselves as old something something? Also, why do they put an apostrophe on that side of old? Shouldn't it be at the end, like old? Or maybe it's just an abbreviation for something else, like, I don't know, AWOL Gin Lee that abandoned his comrades in the heat of battle, or Alcohol Gin Lee that drinks too much and is often found naked in a pile of snow. I don't know. So next we talk to Katara and ask her to go penguin sledding, and she says to look for and talk to Master Wei, whoever that is.
We're wasting time.
Jeez, Katara, sorry, I'll hurry up. So I talked to Master Wei, and he says this guy named Hiryu has gone missing. Next I leave town and go out into the wilderness to beat up on some wolves and finish a side quest where I help this guy fish. Then I head the other way and beat up on some more wolves and find a machine part next to this deep, dark tunnel. I try to go inside the tunnel, but apparently we have to report to Master Wei first. On my way back, I run into this big pack of wolves which kick my ass. I get them whittled down to 1, but look at my health! One wrong move and... nothing. Just a fade into a game over screen. No death animation, no sound, nothing. Then it takes you back to your last save point. So now I have to go back and do all the stuff I did after I left town all over again. Pro tip to if you play Avatar: The Last Airbender the game. Always, and I mean always, save your game when you come by a save point, or you might randomly get your ass kicked and have to do a bunch of boring crap all over again. And it's boring enough the first time. So I do all that stuff all over again, and then I die. Again. So then I do all that stuff all over again. And this time I get back to the village safely and save my game. Twice, just to be sure. So finally I get back to Master Wei and he says,
"Welcome to our village."
Thanks. Been here a while now, man. Then he says you'll have to look into the matter further. So not knowing what to do next, I check my quest log to see what I have to do next. And apparently I have to help around town. What that means exactly, I'm not sure. So I ask around and everybody keeps telling me to look for this old lady named Ming. So then I find her and she asks me for some oil that I got from the fisherman earlier. And then she wants me to do some shopping for her. Then everything changes when the Fire Nation attacks.
I want the Avatar unharmed.
So wait, what's the timeline here? Zuko comes and tries to capture Aang at the North Pole, fails, and then comes back to try to capture him again? At least now we finally get to fight some Fire Nation instead of wild animals, I guess. Now Sokka's in danger and needs our help. Once we make it to Sokka, Katara gets captured.
Bring me the girl. Everyone, back to the ship.
Hey!
Oh no!
Oh no? Oh no? Yeah, I don't think that's quite how Aang would react to that. Well, at least Sokka's finally joined the party. Next, Master Wei is like, "You gotta go save Katara! Also, I think Hiryu was dragged into that hole you were telling me about." Yeah, no shit. Remember, your training here isn't finished. Watch Katara. She can teach you. Yeah, thanks, Master Wei. Who should have just been Master Paku. Wait, why wasn't he just Master Paku? Next, Aang and Sokka make their way back to Appa and run into the first boss. Aang goes down pretty early, leaving Sokka alone to finish it off.
All hail Sokka, great warrior and conqueror of large kitchen utensils.
That kitchen utensil had just about the most powerful firebending I've ever seen. And that armor is stronger than metal.
Fire Nation! Things are getting more dangerous, Aang. We must find Katara.
Yep, yep.
There's Zuko's ship. Katara must be here somewhere.
There's Fire Nation everywhere.
Yeah, well, they really seem to be everywhere. Like over there, and over there. Next comes this part where we have to stealth past 2 Fire Nation soldiers. So just gotta press the 1 button and go invisible. Cool. So now apparently we have to steal some Fire Nation uniforms for disguises to save Katara, which means we have to run straight into a Fire Nation camp anyway. Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose?
Fire Nation soldiers must be in top physical condition. This includes personal hygiene. Fire Nation soldiers do not tire, they do not fail, and they do not smell. Rectify this immediately.
So I guess these guys are just the right height to steal uniforms from, I guess. So now we have to beat these guys up to steal their uniforms. Wow, great disguises. They haven't even put on their helmets? Plus, Aang's tattoo is clearly showing. Ugh, whatever, let's go save Katara. Good thing these Fire Nation soldiers are all apparently really stupid. First, we have to figure out where she is from this guard right here. Check this conversation out. Are you lost, soldier? Can I ask something? Only if you're quick about it. So there are new prisoners? Hold your tongue, soldier. It's not your job to stick your nose in. It's your job to do, well, your job. So get to it. Okay, we're going.
See you.
So we basically learned nothing from that guy. But the best part of that whole conversation was his sheepish little, see you. Like, he's so confrontational the whole time, like, are you soldiers lost? It's not your job to stick your nose in. It's to do, well, your job. So get to it. Okay, we're going. See you. In fact, everyone in this game has something weird to say. Like, a lot of the time you'll have something like this, where what they're saying in text doesn't really match the line that the voice actors say at the end of the conversation.
Goodbye. Protect us.
And then you have these really weird conversations you can come across.
What do you think of the new season's armor?
It chafes a bit, but I think it takes years off my hips.
We're having eggs again for dinner tonight.
That's the 4th time this week, isn't it?
Yep, I'm starting to crow when the sun comes up.
Gross. Oh, I'd show him all right. Yep, the Avatar were here, I'd just walk up and say, you ain't so tough. And I'd pull a few fire moves till he ran away crying.
You're so brave. Think you'll ever get the chance?
Nah, the Avatar would never come to this dump.
Shame.
Hey, I didn't see you at the meeting last night.
Yeah, I accidentally set my street on fire.
Again?
So eventually we finally reach the prison that Katara is in, and all these Fire Nation soldiers are just kind of running out of it for some reason. Once we go in, we confront the 2 guys that we stole the uniforms from. So now that our cover is blown, we just lose the uniforms and fight everyone in the prison. Once we save Katara, we find out that the Fire Nation has another prisoner called Leon the Maker, who they are forcing into building machines like the one that was the boss we fought in the last level. So now we're going to head in and save her. Something to keep in mind though is if you have other objectives in a level, you won't be able to come back and complete them if you go past these checkpoints and beat the end level bosses. Not that it matters too much, you might miss out on some of the items you would get from completing these quests as well as bonus content from the menus from 100% completion, but that's about it. So now we go into the area to find the Maker. Yeah, that's her.
An airbender.
And this firebender jailer guy. So a bit like the last boss, he knocks out about everyone else on my team but Sokka. He almost killed me like 3 times, but luckily some health items kept me from having to refight this guy from the beginning. Anyway, we beat the jailer and the Maker is gone. A map Sokka struggles to read for some reason leads us to the Earthbender training village place that we find out is under attack once we get there. After we do some wolf fighting for a bit, I get to a checkpoint and the game freezes. Great. Anyway, we get back to the training camp and all these Earthbenders are getting beat up on by these machines. I wonder who those could be. Once we destroy all the machines, we talk to Tyro and Haru to find out that the machines had captured someone named Yuan, the village's youngest and most talented Earthbender. Dad, I'm standing right here. Now we finally have Haru join our party. Yay, the gang's all here. Now I bet you're wondering why in this game we play as Haru instead of Toph. And I'm pretty sure it's because they are only given access to Season 1 characters. Which is fine. It's clear that they wanted an earthbending rep in the game, but as you're about to see, Haru is so boring. So later down the line we run into a couple of guys that lose their uncle in a cave. So we ought to go in and save them. So now that we have our full posse together, it would be a good time to talk about focus moves. So yeah. Throughout the game there are these spots to use what's called focus moves where you have to draw Chinese characters in order to get a hidden treasure chest or do other types of actions. It's usually pretty easy to tell where you have to use them because this question mark appears over your head when you're close and then a prompt appears when you're in the right spot. Depending on what it is you're doing, you have to have a specific character selected. Like Aang only does airbending, Sokka breaks open boxes, Katara does stuff with water, and Haru usually does stuff like make rock bridges. When you're in the right spot and press the C button, you're taken to this screen where you have to draw Chinese calligraphy with the Wii remote. It's actually not a bad idea for a mechanic. The only problems I really have with it is that it gets pretty repetitive in certain parts, where you have to do it over and over. And also it doesn't really tell you what character you're drawing. So in the end you really don't learn anything from doing this. Luckily for me, however, I know what they are, so I can tell you what characters we're drawing. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1000, ground, river, mountain, power, spirit, fire, water, tree, and friend. Oh yeah, and cow, obviously. Also, the game gives you this arbitrary percentage from what you just drew. I'm not exactly sure what the criteria are for these percentages, but sometimes I'll draw something really crappy and it'll give me a pretty good score. And other times I'll draw something and it won't accept it. But who knows? As the game progresses, they add a few more characters that are a little bit more complicated to draw, which add a bit more variety towards the end of the game, but not much. You're gonna find yourself writing the same characters over and over and over again, which is kinda sad because by the end of the game you really learn how to draw a lot of these characters, but the game doesn't tell you what they mean, so you learn nothing. In other versions of the game, this is replaced by a quick time minigame where you have to press the right button at the right time, which I can see getting really old really quickly. So this next part's gotta be one of my favorite parts of this game. It's like the pinnacle of mismatching the text dialogue with the vocal lead-ins and lead-outs. It's pretty hilarious. So we roll up on those guys' uncle, looking a little worse for wear, and he gives us the most uninterested hello. But the text is like, help! Please help me! We need to get out of here! Just beautiful. Then we're like, okay, just follow us. But apparently his leg is injured and he can't walk. So we offer to let Katara heal his leg. Then he goes, oi, oi, oi. Okay, rude. But we let Katara heal his leg despite that. And then he goes, see you. Like, what? You're not gonna follow us anymore? Anyway, so he thanks us and praises Katara on her healing abilities. And then he urges us to get out of the mine immediately. Let's get out of here! The mine is very unstable! Follow us! Bye. Who the hell programmed these generic ass responses to everything? They could have at least tried to give this guy his own voice lines to match what he's saying in the text. I mean, with generic ass villagers, it makes a little bit more sense. But when this character's like the main objective in a quest, and his text dialogue is so filled with urgency, just to hear him say, hello, and bye, in the most disinterested tone imaginable, it's kind of jarring. So next we work our way out of the tunnel fighting hordes of machines with this uncle character just mostly kind of standing there. Once we're out, the uncle thanks us and we're on our way, but not without a level up. So yeah, after the group gets a certain amount of experience points, everyone levels up and gets new and improved attacks. Everyone has 4 special moves, each corresponding with an up, down, left, or right swing of the Wii remote in combination with the B button. I didn't typically find myself using these special moves too often, as it's pretty sufficient to spam the A button most of the time using a basic move. Also using the special moves drains your chi, this purple meter at the top of the screen just below everyone's health meter. Leveling up can actually get pretty annoying. It usually happens right after a big quest or something and you have to sit and look at everyone's newly upgraded move. Plus that sound effect is kind of obnoxious. Later we come back to Tyro and he tells us about this sage who is old as the Force itself, that we should find for some reason. I'm not really sure anymore. Goodbye. And they're not even using the real actors' voice lines anymore. Where's the consistency?
Thank you for your help.
So I'm making my way around, getting a little tired of fighting things everywhere I go. So I decide to start using the game's stealth mode, with some pretty funny results. I mean, just look at this. No need to stay away to prevent coming in contact with the enemies. You can just weave through them as you please. As long as stealth mode's on, they're not gonna see you. So stealth mode can be pretty useful, until you run into a thick group of enemies like this. Look at this! There's no way through, and my stealth is about to run out. Looks like I'm just gonna have to fight them. So I finally make my way to the part of the forest where the so-called sage is supposed to be, and it's a giant bear, and we have to fight it. Just like all the other boss battles so far, I get knocked down to just one person, and then beat it. The sage then turns into a guy and says this.
You have proven your strength against me, Avatar. Your spirit gives us hope. When the time comes, I pray you display wisdom also.
Forest Spirit, we need to find where the machines are coming from.
You possess the seed of knowledge already. Plant it at the core of the earth, and you will find what you seek.
What does that even mean?
It means we're going to see a king.
Then Aang takes it as a riddle and decides the gang need to go to Omashu. And why is that again, Aang?
The knowledge we have is that the machines have armor, and no one knows armor better than earthbenders. When the sage said core, he obviously meant the core of the Earth Kingdom, which is Omashu.
Obviously.
You're just jealous because you weren't wise enough to work it out.
Oh yeah, we should all be wise like Aang.
So, machines have armor, and earthbenders know all about armor, apparently. And Omashu's the core of the Earth Kingdom? But wouldn't Ba Sing Se be the core of the Earth Kingdom? Being the literal capital of the Earth Kingdom? Whatever. The game's writers are clearly just trying to get us to Omashu. A pretty prominent place in the Earth Kingdom, grant you, but they don't seem to know any of the lore in Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're just like reaching, trying to connect anything they can at all to Omashu. So whatever, you tried. Moving on. So in Omashu, instead of beating up on wolves and Fire Nation soldiers, we get to beat up on feral cats and bandits. Neat. So next we run into King Boomy, looking for knowledge.
So, what's this about machines?
They're destroying everything, Boomy. A wise man told us we can learn about them here.
Here? There's nothing here but a bowl of fruit and a large man. Maybe you should try the library.
But the Royal Library is apparently only for earthbending masters, which seems to be kind of a waste. All of the knowledge of the Earth Kingdom, restricted to only one particular group of people. Working our way up to the library, Haru decides his earthbending pride is on the line and can't stoop so low as to break Earth Kingdom traditions. So he refuses to go the rest of the way up to the library, which is totally a Haru thing to do. Boring Haru. Toph wouldn't give two shits about going up to that stupid library.
Yeah, let's break some rules!
There's two guards at the door that are asking for a password that we're supposed to listen in to at the tea shop down the way we just came from. But I couldn't figure out how to listen in on the guards talking about the password. So it looks like we're just gonna have to sneak Momo in to unlock the door to get us in. After sneaking around the library for a bit, we find the piece of information we need. An island that we know nothing about, but Boomy probably does, so that means we have to work our way back to Boomy. He then tells us that we need to buy some stuff called mollifying paste from the royal merchant, but before that we need to see his stable master to get Appa a saddle for some reason. But before that we need to get some hard leather strips made. So we have a few pointless quests to run through apparently. Hopefully they don't amount to a scene that proves that everything we just did is comically pointless. That would make me about as crazy as this guy.
My doctor said I should stop talking to myself, should I? What are you, nuts? Of course you should stop talking to yourself, but what do you think? I mean, about talking to yourself?
Later we find the infamous Omashu mail system carts that Momo just randomly decides to hop inside, so it looks like we're in for a zany ride through town.
No way! Do you remember what happened last time we...
Cabbages! Guards! Off with their heads! One for each cabbage!
What? Cabbage guy? Off with our heads? I mean, I know you've already been through a lot, Cabbage guy, but for a surprisingly knowledgeable merchant of cabbage, you sure are going to get everything you have coming to you with an attitude like that. No problem though, we'll just stealth our way out of this one. Later we have some more misinformation on Avatar: The Last Airbender lore with this guy. How many people live in Omashu? You know, I couldn't really say, but it's the biggest city in the Earth Kingdom and the center of our nation. Okay, I don't know why they keep going on and on with this obviously false information. Didn't they have anyone connected to the show to ask about this sort of thing? Like, what is the actual largest city in the Earth Kingdom? And it's not like they don't ever mention Ba Sing Se, the actual largest city in the Earth Kingdom, within Season 1. Does Omashu have to be the largest city in the Earth Kingdom to be important? No. They could have just said that Omashu is like the center of the Earth Kingdom, which I'm pretty sure is also technically untrue, but I don't know. Maybe I am just overreacting a little bit, but there is clearly very little communication between the game developers and the showrunners in terms of synchronicity. I just kind of find it frustrating, which is, I guess, the reason I'm making this video. So I get the hard leather strips to give to the stable master, and then I get the mollifying paste for King Boomy. And then, surprise, surprise, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But now I guess to sort of make up for being a bit of a loser for not going up to the library earlier, we gotta play as Haru alone. Great. So luckily for this part, you have just a little bit of a quota for Fire Nation soldiers to take out. So once you filled your quota, you can just kind of forget about helping all these other guys out. Wait, where are you guys going? I'm trying to fight you. You know what? Never mind. Sorry guys, you're on your own. Next we finally get Boomy his oh so precious mollifying paste to him and...
Ah, that's better. My lips were so chapped.
Did we just spend all that time fetching you lip balm?
They were chapped.
Well, at least that's still pretty in character for King Boomy. Next, he shows us the island we're supposed to go to next and sends us on our way out the back door. So next, the guy from before that didn't want us to go to the library wants to fight us for a reason, I think. So this guy, the consul, actually ends up being a little bit of a pushover. The easiest boss yet. So the gang, namely Katara, suspects that the consul means to replace benders with the machines we've been seeing. Also, Zuko randomly shows up and presumably gets attacked. Captured? Something. Ooh, mysterious. So now we're making our way to this island, and Katara wants to land to ask for directions.
Directions? You can't eat directions.
Oh, Sokka, you silly little bitch. Classic Sokka. So on this island, we get the privilege of fighting platypus bears and sheer shoes, which, as far as sheer shoes go, I don't imagine those are supposed to be very common. But there's a part here where you fight like 3 of them in a row. Yeah, let me just stealth my way past this blind sheer shoe that can essentially see me with its nose. Next we enter this tomb to which Katara suspects that no one has been inside for over 1,000 years. So naturally we gotta totally trash the place.
Yeah, let's break some rules!
Earthbending always comes in handy.
Next we go back to the village for some new quests. And it's at this point I've realized that I'm not really paying attention to what the quests are about anymore. I've kind of checked out a little while back with this game. So what does every self-respecting RPG need in a time like this when the player is more or less checked out from the monotony of quests and all that sort of thing? A pointless luck-based minigame, of course. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's a game called 4 Nations. The game works a bit like dominoes, where 2 sides of a domino represents one of the 4 nations, with the avatar tiles being wild. You have to connect a domino side with the same nation, and if you have a double domino, you can go twice. The goal is to either use all of your own dominoes, or make it where the other player can't use any of theirs. At the beginning of each match, all the dominoes you can use are chosen for you, and you can gain more dominoes as you progress through the main game. Every level of the game has a 4 Nations master that you can play several times to win items after putting down a bit of money as a wager. Not much thought is needed to go into putting down pieces, and most of the time you really only just have one option anyway, so there's not much strategy involved. Something else I haven't really gotten into yet is what I like to call Momo mode. Every area of the game has its own Momo collectible, which is usually some kind of fruit that you can get in order to complete a quest. Not much goes into doing this other than figuring out what things in the environment are supposed to give you the item, and then keeping your eyes out for it. You can do that or just switch to Momo and just run around the whole map looking for things. As Momo, none of the enemies attack you, but it's pretty boring just running around as Momo. It's already boring enough just going around the map normally. I think I only got all of the Momo items in a level once. It's pretty monotonous to switch back and forth between Momo mode and the rest of the team, just looking for collectibles that may get you a useful item later. Overall, I would say Momo mode's pretty pointless, except for this one time when it went into Momo mode and the whole gang got attacked by a platypus bear, which was kind of funny. Oh yeah. Also, the game keeps crashing on me while I'm trying to save, which is literally the worst possible time for this to happen. It happened to me a total of 3 times playing through the game, like seriously. So there's this puzzle that I figured out, but wasn't exactly sure how I got it. Once inside, we talk to this badger mole, just, you know, a talking badger mole, and he gives us tests to do. First, we have to use Haru to match these forms on the wall with these statues in the right order. Then we get an option of a path to take. On one hand, we can fight a bunch of machines, and on the other, we can do a bunch of focus moves. Both seem equally tedious, but after button mashing against the machines, I end up taking the focus move path, which makes you do like 5 in a row. Now we get to fight an end-level boss. So we find out Leon the Maker is the one behind building the machines and attacking everyone, and she apparently wants to separate Aang from the Avatar spirit. But why though? Why would you want to do that? Why does it matter? And how do you plan on doing that? How do you know anything about the Avatar spirit at all? You're just some machine chick. So yeah, we fight, and she totally kicks my ass. Second time around, I decide to equip everyone up with better items. Yeah, something I haven't really got into yet is this game's inventory and equipment system. Naturally, as you progress and do quests in the game, you receive items. Headbands, robes, boots, amulets, charms, rings. Each character has 6 different equipment slots you can fill. You can equip these items to each member of the gang as you see fit, except each member, according to these loading screen tutorials, has a special stat that benefits them more than the others. Aang's is agility, Sokka's is strength, Katara's is life, and Haru's is focus. I know, I half expected it to be armor too, because you know.
No one knows armor better than earthbenders.
This system is okay, but instead of making any interesting decisions about inventory management, for me it boiled down to just maximizing each character's special stat. So after a much better second time around on the boss, the gang decide to go off after Leon, whom Aang is assuming is going to try to destroy some Avatar statues in order to break his ties to the Avatar spirit, because sure, the plot needs to go somewhere. As we land wherever we're going, Appa just decides to sit on this machine that's about to kill these couple of dudes. So on this next level, I felt I saw something kind of familiar. Take a look at these garters. I don't know about you, but they make me think of a similarly shaped and named enemy in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm no lawyer, but I think Nickelodeon could have a pretty nice little lawsuit on their hands. Later, we run into this depressed spirit that everyone can just see and talk to. He's sad because his little area's kinda all messed up, so we gotta fix it back up for him. Then next we talk to this guy whose mom went missing during a solstice.
Once we finish helping the spirit, we're able to enter the spirit world.
But guess what the first thing I noticed you can do while in the spirit world was? Just give it a guess. Bending. You can do bending. Jeez, like that's the first thing Aang noticed he couldn't do in the spirit world in the show. How hard would it have been just to turn the bending off for this part?
So anyway, we find the mother, bring her back to the entrance of the spirit world, and take her back home. Bada bing, bada boom.
Now, I don't know exactly how long she's been stuck in the spirit world, but if I know one thing, she's probably really gotta use the restroom right now.
Do they have bathrooms in the spirit world?
As a matter of fact, they do not.
Next, we find ourselves in this Fire Nation ship, and I activate this trapdoor twice. Finally, I deactivate it by cutting it, but isn't that what was triggering the door in the first place? Who keeps coming back and rearming the trapdoor?
These hog monkeys?
Do they have the mental capacity to rearm trapdoors? Next, Aang decides to fly up to this air temple by himself, and everyone else in the group stays behind because the villagers are just hopelessly sitting on the ground, unable to fend for themselves. Not sure exactly why they need help right now. Once Aang makes it up to the temple, we send Momo inside to find a key to let us in. Once we do that, we have to follow this path in the correct order of the Avatar cycle. They spell it out for us pretty nicely. They got it right at least. Eventually we make it to the Avatar statue room where we beat up on all the machines in there. Next we get knocked back to where the gang separated to find out what kind of thrilling things they do while they're separated from Aang and Momo.
This still doesn't feel right.
He'll be fine. He's the Avatar. Now, let's see where we can get some lunch.
Classic Sokka, am I right? Eventually, the gang gets ambushed by something, and meanwhile, there's a bunch of machines flying through the sky. So as Aang, we gotta get to Appa ASAP. Once we get back, we have to follow our friend's footsteps to the point where they get attacked. And what do you know, it's a giant machine. Once it's down, Aang, Appa, and Momo find a cave and go through it to find everyone else. Once on the other side of the tunnel, we find this village where we can lead these deer that actually look a little bit more like giraffes or alpacas or something home and find off these canyon crawlers from these farms. Also, we lead this guy to move some rocks out of my way so I can find my friends who are trapped inside the fortress. Once inside, we set each of them free one by one. As we go deeper into the fortress, we find that there's one more prisoner inside, Zuko. Next, we get to view this masterpiece of a cutscene.
Come on, we have to keep moving.
Wait, Sokka. We can't just leave him here like this.
I don't need anyone's help. See, he says he's fine. Now let's go.
No! Haru, do you think you can move that?
Hurry! I don't know how long I can hold it.
Got ya.
Later, I decide to leave the fortress so I can pick up on some of these quests that I haven't done yet. Wait a second. What the hell did I just pick up? Yin Yang paste? Yin Yang paste. Yin Yang paste. Out of all the different names you can give a paste, you name it Yin Yang paste. I don't think any other name would be more suggestive. Anyway, once we reach the final part of the game, Leon the Maker traps us inside this room where we have this really glitchy looking cutscene.
It's a trap!
Oh, right. The steps.
Hey, who's touching my boomerang?
Ow! Stop pulling my hair!
Ow! You stop pulling my hair.
I pulled your hair.
Aang, is that you?
Once we destroy this machine,
we leave and fight the real end boss, the Ultimaton. The Ultimaton. A machine that is being run by 3 different benders. The missing waterbender from the first level, what was his name again? Hiryu. The most skilled earthbender in Haru's village, what was his name again? Yuan. And some random Fire Nation soldier, which apparently is all the ingredients needed for an avatar machine, minus an airbender. Once we beat up on it a bit, a giant gear hits Haru in the arm, which distracts everyone. As the machine gears up for an attack against Aang, Katara jumps in the way to save him. Seeing Katara hurt sends Aang into the avatar state, which to me seems more of a reaction that Aang would make in contrast to the beginning of the game when Katara got captured.
Oh no!
So then we beat up on the Ultimaton using our super awesome avatar powers. Look at that, so awesome. Once the machine is destroyed, it seems to fall on top of Leon the Maker, presumably killing her.
instead of dwelling on the possible death of Leon,
Aang has some kind of revelation about being the Avatar or something. I don't know.
I think I understand. At the North Pole, Master Wei told me to learn from you, Katara. I thought he meant waterbending, but it was more than that. Of course.
Did you hit your head or something? Because you aren't making any sense.
Aang, I just helped you like anyone would.
No one else could have helped. You're the only one who saw the danger. I guess sometimes it comes down to just one person being able to help. There are certain things only I can do too. I have to start accepting my responsibilities, or I'm turning my back on everyone. I'm the Avatar.
Haru then reaches out to his friend and they leave. But for whatever reason, I guess they don't take his friend back with them in the final cutscene? Not enough room on Appa, I guess? The final cutscene ends on everyone teasing Sokka.
Joke's always on Sokka!
Oh, but there's one last thing. Zuko is angry and walking. So yeah, that's the end of the game, I guess. There is some level and storyboard art to look at, if that sort of thing interests you, as well as a character gallery which is locked for me. I assume you have to go full completionist in order to unlock it, doing every quest in every level without missing any. No way in hell am I trying that. So yeah, that's the game. It's pretty bad. I remember around the time the game came out thinking how much potential an Avatar game would have if it had been handled correctly. But this is Nickelodeon we're talking about. I'm pretty sure the pitch for the game went something like, let's see how fast we can make this game to capitalize on this up and coming property while we can. Of course they made other games in the franchise later. The one that had the most promise and hype around the time was the Legend of Korra game by the legendary Platinum Games. But that game didn't really do too well with critics either. But I can tell you that that game is a whole lot better than the garbage heap I just finished playing. I guess the most egregious thing about the game is there isn't really anything particularly good about it. The fighting is boring, the story doesn't make any sense and doesn't really tie in with the series as a whole. They do very little to keep the lore consistent to that of the series. I mean, you can just feel the lack of direction from the showrunners. It's like they looked to the show up to that point and were given free range to do whatever they wanted. I mean, the one thing I can think of that's actually good about the game is that it at least has the original voice cast, but it doesn't really hold any of the character. And another thing, you can just feel that they were going for this epic RPG type feel, but it falls short in every category.
Also, what the hell happens to Leon the Maker here?
She totally dies, right? And Aang doesn't care? Also, what's with all that animal fighting for an Avatar as pacifistic as they come? Well, if that's true, what's going on right here? I mean, I know there are a few moments in the show where something happens and you're like, well, someone surely got killed by Aang there. But if Aang is so concerned about not killing the Fire Lord, why isn't he more distraught about Leon possibly dying right here? I mean, that is, unless he was just a straight up killer all along. There is one spot in the show in particular where Aang without a doubt actually kills something. In the episode when we're out in the desert looking for Appa, there's this buzzard wasp thing that almost takes Momo. Look at what Aang does right here. You can't tell me that the buzzard wasp survived that. So there it is, the unequivocal proof that Aang is a bona fide killer. I guess it turns out that the game was more consistent with the show than I previously thought. Never used violence to take a life, my ass.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. It really means a lot. It only took me like 4 years to get around to finally making this video, but I plan on making more videos soon, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you'd like to see. See you soon.